everybody, and welcome back to my garden. My name is Stacy and I garden in Zone 5B, Newfoundland. It's been a few weeks since I have shown you the progress of my vegetable garden, so I thought today was a really good day to give you a look around. Of course, the perfectionist in me is always bothered that my garden isn't perfect and exactly as I want it, but I want to show you real life and what it actually looks like. So far we've had a really hot, dry season, which is starting to be a little bit of a theme of the weather that we probably can come to expect here in Newfoundland, and some crops are thriving while others are struggling, and you will see as I show you through my garden. Overall though, I'm pretty pleased with the progress, and yeah, I'd like to take you along and show you how everything's looking. So if you're interested to see how the kitchen garden is progressing, please keep watching. Okay, so this is where you enter my vegetable garden. I guess it's more of a kitchen garden potager because I do have a mix of edibles and ornamentals. The first thing I want to point out is, since the last time that I updated, is I actually filled up these metal planter boxes and they are just looking beautiful. My star annual of 2025 is for sure this red velour tidal wave petunia. This series is amazing. One plant gets enormous. I believe that this is 2 plants, but it is beautiful. I have it in some hanging baskets in front of my house as well, and the color just pops. I have gotten some compliments on it, so that's always nice to hear when people enjoy my choices and annuals. So here I've just got some basically nasturtiums, which, by the way, this is my favorite nasturtium of all time. This variegated one that looks like it's been splashed with white paint. And it is called Alaska Red Shades. So it has shades of this deep red and it's really beautiful. In the front, I've planted these climbing nasturtiums, which there's nothing really for them to climb, so I'm hoping they're also going to trail down like the petunias. They're called Spitfire. They're an orange. In here, I've also got some tomatoes and they're doing great. This is a tiny Tim. Look at the fruit set on here. There must be at least 12 in this cluster, and I've got more flowers and more tomatoes developing. So really happy with that variety. This was just an extra tomato that I had left over that I stuck in here. It's called One Trick Pony. Now it is a beefsteak, and I know that they can be tricky to get to ripen outdoors here. So we'll see how that does. I've got another tiny Tim. You can see in here, I've got a plethora of tomatoes, and you can see one is actually starting to ripen. So really happy with that. I've got some Velvet Curtains Amaranth, which is this incredible purple color. And I've also got some beans that are starting to climb up over, hopefully will totally envelop this trellis. And I've already got some up to here. So these are a variety of beans. I have had such a hard time getting runner beans or pole beans to actually not get eaten. I'm not sure. I think I had rabbits that were eating them, and then there was slug damage. Some of the leaves, this is what they look like. There's almost nothing left to them. So this side has actually done really great, whereas the other side, they almost all got eaten multiple times. So these are way further behind. I've put up some chicken wire as a little bit of a protector to hopefully get them high enough so they'll start climbing. But I just can't get over the trouble I've had with my climbing beans this year. I've also got the same thing repeated over here. I've had major rabbit issues this year. I had more nasturtiums here and they just cracked them off at the base from hopping in. So I put these sticks in to hopefully keep them out. I've got more of these beautiful petunias. Looks like my daughter stuck a marker in there. This is a climbing zucchini, which I'm hopefully going to start training up the side of the arbor. That looks like that's starting to bloom. And then I've got these tomatoes, which are called Cherry Falls, which is a fantastic variety. And they're a great early one. And you can see, these are actually my first ripe tomatoes of the year. I'm thinking tomorrow or the next day they will be ready for picking. So it's just so exciting to see things fruiting. And like I said, if I can just get these pole beans to go up and over as planned, I will be happy. So if we go through the arbor, to my left is this flower bed, which is looking a lot different than the last time you saw it. My irises are now done and I'm waiting for my later plants to start flowering. We've got some Shasta daisies blooming. And I really just put this here as a way to draw more pollinators to my garden. So if we come along to here, I've got my strawberry patch, which is almost done producing. I do have this bird netting over it to actually give my berries a fighting chance. You can see I still have berries producing, but they're pretty much done. We've been eating fresh strawberries now for a couple of weeks. So this is, the variety is called Hanoi, and I got it because it's an early June bearing variety. So I wanted one big flush all at the beginning of the season. So this is a great variety. I think I'm going to have to add some more fertilizer to it because I did have smaller berries than expected, but it was also a very dry year. Coming along to here, in this bed, I've had some major bunny damage. I mean, luckily thus far, they haven't really touched the carrots for some reason, but all of these flowers in the front have been nearly destroyed by rabbits. What happens is they hop into the bed and then they crack the plants off at the base. So this marigold, I don't think it's going to make it, which bothers me. And these nasturtiums, they ate the middle ones, so I had to replant multiple times because they keep eating them. But I mean, I guess a companion plant, that's the point of it, is to sacrifice it to keep everything else going. So maybe that's the purpose. So these are a new marigold variety to me, Bloody Mary. So they start out like this white and kind of dark red, and then they age to this, which I love. But unfortunately, they're not all consistent in this mix. And I'm not crazy about mixes. I like flowers to be all the same. So a little bit disappointed. I'll show you those in another area because they look a lot more mixed. So here is my carrot bed. So I've interplanted, and these are just coming into bloom, sweet alyssum in between. I did this last year as well because apparently if you plant sweet alyssum in between the rows of your carrots, not only is it a green mulch and kind of helps conserve the moisture, but the smell will keep away carrot fly, allegedly. So my carrots are finally starting to bulk up. It's been really hot and dry, and it felt like it took them so long to germinate. So I've got a few rows of carrots, and then in here I've got some shallots. So I think I need to kind of remove some of the soil from around the bulbs so they can bulk up a little bit. But otherwise, I think they're doing okay. I've never really been that successful with onions before, so I'm not really sure if this is where they should be or not. But in between the rows, I have more carrots planted. And this is like my massive fail of the season due to rabbits. So I had some sweet peas planted here, and they were actually up about this far, full of buds ready to bloom. And in one night, the rabbits ate them all down to nubs. Now you can see they are starting to flush again, so maybe I will see some flowers. I've got them covered in netting as a bit of a deterrent, but it's very frustrating because this is the King's Ransom sweet pea, which is very hard to get. You can only get small quantities of it, and I was babying these, and the rabbits don't care. But when I thought my peas were dead, I did plant some pole beans here to see if maybe I could at least get something growing up this trellis. So now it seems like the beans and the peas are going to be fighting. So anyway, we'll see how that goes. I've got some fish pans that just have some random things in there. These are some dark leaf dahlias that I actually grew from seed a few years ago. These are called Bishop's Children, and I just love dark foliage. So they are more of a single flower dahlia. I've got more dahlias in here. These are actually self-seeded violas from last year. Aren't they so sweet? I love violas. So I've got that. I've got some Egyptian walking onions in this fish pan. So the way this works is eventually these stalks will topple to the ground, and then all of these little baby bulbules will create more walking onions. But I kind of don't know what to do with these. I know people eat them when they're immature like green onions, but if you can tell me what to do with Egyptian walking onions, please let me know, because I feel like they're cool, but I just don't use them. Here I've got a box of mint. Of course, if you plant mint in the ground, which I did as a rookie gardener and highly regretted it, it will just take over everything. So I have it confined to this box. I have a few different varieties. This is apple mint, which is a great variety, but it's really furry if you're using it for culinary purposes. Like, it's great in a cocktail, but if you're using it in anything else, it's very furry. Whereas this chocolate mint has more of a smooth leaf. So I think I have some spearmint in here as well, but it's really hard to tell all the varieties apart. I have some cosmos here in pots. I'm hoping these are going to fill out and actually look a little bit better. But this variety is called Velouette, and I love these really interesting stripy petals. So I just hope I can get them looking fuller. And I've got more cosmos back here, and I've got a massive rosemary that is a couple years old. Then we come over to this bed, which is arguably my most colorful bed right now, and this is actually my asparagus bed. So if you look between all of the self-seeded things, you will see I have fronds of asparagus. So I was hoping I was going to get to harvest this year, but it didn't happen. I felt like they needed another year to establish, so I'm just letting them go. But in between these, most of these are self-seeded poppies from last year, and look how absolutely beautiful they are. They are called Emil's Scarlet Peony Poppy from Revival Seeds. Look at that. I absolutely love this color. And I mean, the poppies last no time and the leaves just kind of shatter, and then you're left with these seed pods. So the only thing that bothers me about poppies, and you'll see this, is that if I go down here, the leaves start to die on them really quickly, and then they look really terrible. So I think I heard this from one of my favorite gardeners, Sarah Raven, is that these are really cool to leave in the garden as some, structure and interest. So what she does is once they're done blooming, she strips all of the leaves off and just leaves these sticks with seed pods to continue developing. So you can then collect your seeds or dry the pods, whatever you're doing. But then you don't have these unsightly dying leaves. So I will be doing that, and it'll look so much better. So I've got asparagus, I've got some self-seeded dill in here from last year. This is self-seeded parsley, which has just taken over the bed. I'm definitely going to collect some of this for seed, but I don't need all of this in here. So I may actually cut some back because I just feel like it's swallowing up my asparagus. And then here I've got some cilantro, which has gone to seed, or gone to flower, which will develop seeds, and I'll probably collect those. Coming around to here, this bed once again was visited by bunnies. I'm missing nasturtiums. That bothers me. So I've got this random self-seeded poppy, which, like I said, I'll be stripping the leaves off so it doesn't look so unsightly. But these are the Bloody Mary nasturtiums. Now I was expecting them to look like this, but I'm getting some that look like this, which are actually orange. And then I've got these white ones, and then I've got these red ones, and then I've got this one, which is beautiful, but I thought they were all gonna look like this. So I will be collecting seeds, but I kind of want to isolate the ones with the cool variation on them because these other ones are just very ordinary. I've also got these gem marigolds in here, which if these survive the rabbits will hopefully help to keep away pests. I've got more poppies that just seeded themselves. I've got some calendula planted here. I know a lot of people have calendula blooming in their garden, and I find it always is so slow for me. Like, these have been sprouted for well over a month, and I feel like they're hardly growing. Like, am I going to get to see any blooms? I don't know. Anyway, I've got some celery plants here. I've got some red onions, which I think I need to kind of give them a little room for them to bulb up. So that's exciting to see a little bit of progress there. I have been trying to feed them fertilizer to make them grow. And then we've got parsnips, which are much larger than the last time that I showed you. And I have thinned them out, so hopefully we'll have a good crop of parsnips. Here I've got sugar snap peas. This variety is called Magnolia Blossom, and look how pretty these flowers are. They have purple flowers. Usually with sugar snaps you'll find that they have white flowers. So I was very happy to try this variety. It's from Renee's garden. It's beautiful, but I'm just starting to get some pea development here. So I need to come and pick some of these sugar snaps because they are delicious. So already that's almost to the top of the trellis. Beautiful variety, very happy with that. My David Austin rose here in this pot has bloomed, and I actually just deadheaded. It had about 30 flowers on it literally days ago, but I just deadheaded all of them, but it will keep repeat blooming for me throughout the year. Here I think there's like 2 fighting dragonflies here. I'm not sure if you can see the green. I'm not really sure, but there's some sort of mating or fighting going on there. This is my garlic bed, which I'm actually going to be harvesting all of this garlic. I pulled up a few yesterday to make room for extra climbing beans that I've put in as a second succession. But the ones I did pull up looked great. So I'm going to be pulling up the rest of my garlic probably today. I've also got some of this snapdragon vine, which has been doing really poorly since I planted it, but it's finally starting to climb this little obelisk. So hopefully I'll get some coverage on there. Then we have an onion bed interplanted with different lettuces, and these are looking great. Like I said, I've never really grown a good onion before, but look at these. So they are starting to bulb, which makes me quite happy. This is a Spanish onion. So very pleased with that. I've also got some dainty little self-seeded violas. And yeah, I'm happy with this onion bed. I've also got, these are the climbing nasturtiums, which I'm hoping are going to spill over, but you can see I might have to give it a bamboo pole or something to climb because it's getting tall. Over here I've got some extra plants, some things I've grown from seed that I haven't really gotten in the garden yet. Like these are extra primroses that I grew from seed. These are campanula, which are biennials. I've got some geums there. So these are just extra things that I grew to put in the garden. This area by my greenhouse is all of my pots. I'm really happy with my pot combination this year. Last year it turned out really pinker than I wanted, so I wanted to go a little more maybe like a juicy fruit sort of vibe, like a fruit punch sort of vibe. These marigolds are beautiful. These are called Burning Embers, and they're a single. The pollinators love them, and I just love how they look. They're these big bushy marigolds that just spill out of the pots. Beautiful. I've repeated the red velour petunias, and I've got these beautiful dahlias. These are called Totally Tangerine. I have wanted to grow this variety for years, and I found it at my local seed shop in the spring, and I bought it right away. So I've been trying to keep it deadheaded because it has been blooming its socks off, but it's so beautiful. And I've got these beautiful orange geraniums. I just love how orange combines with other colors. I've also got this random verbena I grew from seed. I didn't think anything was going to become of it, but it's looking great. So I just love this little display. It makes me really happy. Let's go into the greenhouse, show you how it's all doing. I was in here yesterday tying things up, pruning suckers, and just generally doing some maintenance. I've got all of my peppers here in the front in pots, and I find peppers are way more productive in pots for me than they are in a raised bed. I've got peppers producing. Here we've got, what is this? Oh, this is Jimmy Nardello. This is an Italian sweet pepper that's really good if you fry them in olive oil. One of my favorites. So I have 4 plants of these this year. I also have more here. I have more here. I mean, look, this one has like 7 peppers on it. And I've got more of the Jimmy Nardellos here. I'm very pleased with how all of my peppers are producing already. I've got some bell peppers here. I've actually never successfully grown bell peppers, so this is an experiment for me this year. Over here, I think these are jalapenos. Oh, I'm not seeing too much on there yet. Got more bell peppers, look at that. And I got some chili peppers or cayennes that are starting to form here. So really pleased, more bell peppers there. Really pleased with how the peppers are looking, and they're just looking so green and healthy. The tomatoes are looking really good for this point in the season. I think last year I didn't even get any fruit development till I think late August. So here I'm doing an experiment. Usually I just let my indeterminate tomatoes grow on one vine. So I have one vine going all the way up. But this year I'm experimenting, and this one I let fork off into 2 vines. So this is Amish paste. It's a paste tomato. It's starting to produce. So this is just to see, will I get more fruit if I have 2 vines, or will I do better on a single vine? Because I have heard people say both things to be true. So we'll see. Here in the back, I've got some paste tomatoes. This variety is called Supremo. It's new to me this year, so I will let you know how they are, but they're all starting to fruit, so I'm very happy with that. And then here, this variety is called Vantage. This is a very popular Newfoundland variety, and you can see I've got a nice cluster happening there. This variety is called One Trick Pony, and this is a beefsteak by a Canadian breeder named Karen Olivier, and she makes some really cool tomatoes, breeds them for Canadian climates. So usually, instead of like, most beefsteaks are like an 80-day tomato or more, and hers are usually maturing earlier. So I'm trying this one this year. This is One Trick Pony, and look how many flowers I have on one stem. So if that's an indicator of how productive it is, I'm all in. I think that's another One Trick Pony, and this is, what is this? This is a Castelluto Genovese, which is an Italian really heavily ribbed tomato, which is one of my favorites. Although I'm not gonna lie, the way that it's looking, these little tomatoes are not looking like that, so maybe I mixed my plants up. Over here, I've got this variety called Black Sea Man, And this is so cool because you can actually see that like 4 flowers fused together to create this tomato, which is so cool. So these flowers may become one tomato. So this is a determinate variety that I'm trying for the first time this year, and I've repeated it a few times throughout. I love a dark slicing tomato. Look at that. So happy to see those coming along. Like, can you see how this was more than one flower becoming one tomato? That's really cool. And then I've got all of my cherries in this bed. So I've got, look at this, Sakura. I've wanted to try this variety for years. It's just a red cherry, but it looks beautiful. My black cherry, which always grows, well, chocolate cherry I've grown in the past. Black cherry is new for me, but chocolate cherry always hits the top before all my other tomatoes, and black cherry is doing the same thing. So it's looking great, and hopefully I'll have some cherry tomatoes soon. You will see right here, I've got some more cherries coming in. So very pleased with how the greenhouse is doing. Okay, so let's go to my slightly wild area that I have partially cultivated. We crossed this little bridge. Believe it or not, this is water, and all of these plants are just growing in this stream, although, wow, it's actually run dry. I've never actually seen it run dry before. Wow, we really need some rain. Apparently we're getting some tonight. So down this little path is a whole nother garden. And I love this space. Here is my cutting garden, these 2 rows. So you will see I have all snapdragons here. This year I planted them super close together, closer than I ever have, probably about 3 inches apart. And they're looking great. So I've got my first snapdragon coming out there. Here I've got some bishop's flower or Amimagus, which is this beautiful umbellifer. I'm definitely going to cut some of these and bring them inside in a vase. I planted some Lysianthus this year. Look how tiny they are. Oh, I'm never growing these again. I don't have the patience for them. I've got some Dara chocolate lace flower about to bloom. This is a beautiful, they're almost like a mauvey doily of a flower. Absolutely beautiful. And then here I've got some Dianthus, which is not out yet, but looking really lush. In this bed, I've got sunflowers and zinnias. This is a branching variety from Bessie's. I think it's called Ring of Fire. Looking forward to that. Saw someone on Facebook posted a picture of this on a gardening group last year, and I put the seeds in my cart immediately. And then this is my zinnia bed. I have had so many issues growing zinnias this year. It started with germination issues, even with brand new seeds from various companies. I honestly think the problem was me. And then the slugs ate my zinnias multiple times. All of these holes I have reseeded. I filled some with randomly Coreopsis because I just want this to look full. But you can see I've got my first flower coming in. I do have some mixes in here, so I could get anything. So my cut flower patch is looking good. Here I've got some zucchinis planted, and they're looking good. This morning, like I was talking about with the rabbits, I came to find this plant was just cut right off at the roots, and it appears that a bunny just landed on it and snapped the whole plant off at the base. Very annoying, but I don't have any flowers on these yet, but I'm sure they're coming. This is more of the Velvet Curtains Amaranth, which is just for prettiness. And then look at these outdoor tomatoes. I've got 9 tomatoes planted here. And to be honest, they might even look healthier than my greenhouse tomatoes. So I've got some early maturing varieties. I've got Scotias and a few of the Black Seaman planted here. So hopefully we'll see how we do. Here on this trellis, I have some climbing beans that are just starting to climb. This variety is called Marvel of Venice, and they are yellow. I have never tried them before, but they look great. I've also got some bush beans that were just extra seeds that I had lying around that I planted in the front. Here, these sweet peas are doing terrible. I feel it's not a great year on sweet peas because it's just so droughty. This is a variety that's supposed to be highly fragrant. They are trying to bloom, but very pathetic. This is my potato bed, and they're looking great. I've hilled them, and I'm kind of surprised that they're not blooming yet. But anyway, I'm happy that they are growing despite the drought, and I have not watered these once. Coming along to here, you can see how dry all this grass is. We desperately need rain. Here is another area that I grow in. I actually pulled up these garlic the other day. I need to put them in my shed to dry. They were in a very dry bed here, and I'm surprised I got any bulb development at all. Obviously these are tiny, but I'm pleased with what I got. So this is where my garlic patch was, and I just replanted it. You can see I've got bush beans coming up here in the back. So I've thrown in some calendula, beets, and bush beans just to see if I can get a bumper crop of something. I've got some leeks here that again are definitely not getting enough water. So I don't know if I'm gonna get much leek production, but they've got a long season ahead. So I think they'll pick up when it starts to cool down. Here I've got some zucchinis, and I'm hoping, I've been out here trying to pollinate. Look, you can see this did not get pollinated, but I think this one did. So I think I've got the starts of some zucchinis. And I've got some of these incredible amaranth called Love Lies Bleeding. How cool are these? And then here is my pumpkin patch / winter squash patch, interplanted with, again, this beautiful amaranth, which you can dry and bring inside. But yeah, I've got a mix of pumpkins and winter squash. So looks like I've got some things starting here. So very pleased with that. So again, this has been so dry, and I think it needs a few good rains to get everything going. And here in the back, oh, this is looking really bad. This is my dahlia patch. I think I've just lost 2 to bugs, and the rest are really struggling. They've hardly grown. So again, we need some rain. So yeah, that's how everything's going down here. So if you're still with me, thank you so much for watching. I know it's a lot to go through, and I just have so many things going on in my garden that I just try to show everything. And I know I'm probably talking a lot, but there's a lot to say about what's going on here. So if you enjoyed my video and enjoyed my vegetable garden tour, please give this video a like. You can hit the subscribe button if you'd like to be notified when I make new content. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. So until next time, bye.